Okay, instructions on the bilge pumps. What we've got here first of all is our 4 valves. This valve here is for forward cabin, starboard side, forward cabin, port side. This one here is your main grey water valve, and this one here is for your engine room bilge, which we don't use in port at all. Then you've got your 2 bilge pumps. You've got bilge pump number 2 or you've got bilge pump number 1, and they both work. To operate bilge pump number 1, you have to open this valve. To operate bilge pump number 2, you open that valve. So the process we go through for operating it is, the first thing we do is open the seawater inlet valve, which is also got down here a solenoid valve which protects us from flooding the ship by mistake. So in order to operate, say, bilge pump number 1, you would open the seawater valve, open bilge pump number 1 valve, there we go, open it all the way up. Once it's open, then you can push the salt water, that one there, that button there, you can hear that clicking in, and that allows salt water to fill bilge pump number 1 up here. So I normally hold it in for about a minute for the whole system to flood nicely and to prime bilge pump number 1. Now once you've got it fully primed, then you can open the grey water valve. But if you open the grey water valve and have the seawater valve open, then you'll be slowly filling the system with salt water. So let's just get up here. Okay, so we start bilge pump number 1 over here. Hold in the salt. Let it start priming. And you'll hear a slight change in tone. That indicates that it's starting to suck salt water. So you can hear it sucking salt water now. So you open valve and let it run for a while. You can go back to the salt water, continue priming, and you'll hear a change in tone in bilge pump number 1. Once you hear that change in tone, you can let go of the salt water inlet. So now you can let go of the salt water inlet and let it pump. And then when you hear it change, now the tank is empty, so you can turn it off again. Close the seawater inlet valve, close the tank valve, and close bilge pump number 1 valve. So let's just talk that through once again, nice and quietly, without the thing running. So to start off with, you open the seawater inlet valve. You prime the system. You can hear the click. You prime the system. And then, when you've primed it for about a minute, then start your bilge pump. In this case, bilge pump number 1. open your valve up. Sorry, I meant to open the valve up first of all. So open this valve all the way up. Open this valve, prime the system. You can hear the water running in. Once you've primed the system, you can then start bilge pump number 1. Let the salt water start flowing through. Then open this valve here and continue priming the system with salt water over here. Continue priming until you hear the tone of the pump change. Then let go the saltwater inlet and it will continue pumping. You can do this with either bilge pump number 1 or bilge pump number 2. Sometimes bilge pump number 2 is simpler, which is opening this valve here, because it's lower down and it'll prime quicker than bilge pump number 1. So bilge pump number 2 sometimes works better, but basically you run salt water through the system. Once the salt water is running through, then open up the valve, continue mixing salt water and bilge water until you get a sort of firmer tone in the pump, and then let go the salt water priming button and the system will pump itself out okay. Then remember to shut all your valves, down again, like that, like that. Close all your valves down and you should be fine. So that's the basic method of pumping bilge pump number 1, bilge pump number 2. The buttons are bilge pump number 1 and bilge pump number 2, which is up there. There's 1 and 2, and that's the bilge pumping.